Alright, there is the new motor. I'm going to load it up to take it home. A little peek inside. I need to blow the pallet apart to get it on the trailer. Can't even get it in the trailer, so I gotta break the pallet apart now. Alright, well there's the new motor. I had to unwrap it, so kind of wanted to unwrap it differently. And, it was loaded with a forklift. I'm trying to figure out how to get it out without cherry picking off of that, so I've rigged up a pulley system off of my anchor point that's in the concrete, and I'm going to pull forward and slide that out, and then I'll show you what we got and what it's going to be. Hey, it's kind of working. Well, that wasn't too bad. I now have the whole pallet or skid in on the dolly so I can roll it around the shop. So this is what I purchased. It's basically a 2019 Challenger, Charger. I'd have to look at the paperwork. Can't remember. Like I said, it was a couple years ago. Basically, it's the entire car without the car. Comes with our shifter. I believe it's an 8-speed transmission. I guess I'm going off of old school memories of things. The 1,000,000 pounds of wiring harness is underneath that little cover they make. They set this up according to the people in the know that this is all on the pallet to where all I have to do is put liquids in it and push the button, and it's supposed to start on the pallet. So I'm kind of excited for that. I think I'm going to do that just for some fun. I think it'd be kind of fun to fire it off sitting right here. So I'm going to fire it off and let it make some noise. Something I also did just realize, and I even looked it up, these don't have power steering pumps. And I guess these cars came with electric power steering racks, which I did not know. That's where basically that should be a power steering pump. So my new suspension and whatever I'm doing that way is completely different. I'm not sure if the headers I have will work with this. I'm not sure I want to use that shifter, if it'll fit in the car properly, or what I want to do that route. I may or may not use it. I'm probably going to use the drive-by-wire throttle. I'm sure the throttle that's in the car would have worked. I'm not 100% sure what this brake safety switch is, but it's just a switch on the brake pedal. So I'm sure I can wire something out that way and just make that work with the factory brakes that I have. So there's O2 sensors right off the headers and in those collectors. Oh, there's 4 O2 sensors on this motor. I don't think the wiring harness that's currently in the car for the other motor would work. I don't know. I just don't know. I have lots of stuff I need to figure out. There's a pretty crazy harness going into this back here. So I get to figure it out, and not sure what this is. It's zippy tied to that. Is that the shifter for... Is the transmission shift by a cable? I don't know. So, more things to figure out with this. But yeah, I'm going to take my box. Oh, key in box. Let's see what's in here. Go through that. And yeah, I'll make another video here in a minute trying to start it and figure out anything else. Key ins. Oh, did it come with instruments too? And the belt? And what's this? And a big metal thingy? I think the gauges are inside here. Let's take a look at that real quick. Yeah, I don't think I want to use the gauges. And I could have bought just a motor. I thought it was kind of more fun to buy an entire car without buying the car, so that it was just everything could work, so that if it worked on the pallet, it should work in the car. I guess I could have turned this off and paused it, but let's see. Holy bubble wraps. Oh yeah, sure is. Boom. So 7,000 RPM, 180 mile an hour speedometer. I mean, I might have to put another 20 on that. This car should be hitting 2 at some point, right? I might plug that in and light it up to see what it looks like. I mean, I'm definitely not building a stock car. I mean, she was far from stock a few minutes ago. But I'm trying to decide, do I tear this motor apart a little bit, add performance mods into the engine, build it up a little bit more. I've heard that if you put boost on it, the pistons don't like it, so you should change your pistons and change things that way. If I feed nitrous, probably the same thing. A lot of people say there's more power than the car can handle, just the motor the way it is, just put it in and enjoy it. And yeah, so I mean, hell, the way I have it geared and how light I'm going to have that car, it should be a monster. I mean, I was overly happy with the power I had before, and this should be almost 100 horsepower more than what the previous motor was putting out. But all right, that's that. I'll show you when I start turning. Oh, that's hilarious. Remove before starting. What? It has to breathe. Hi. All right, well, I've just done a bunch of research, been talking to people and trying to figure more things out. And I'm going to start this off here in a second, or see if it will start off. So we'll see what that's going to do. Need to put oil in it. For putting fuel in, all I've done is pop the top off and have dumped fuel inside the fuel pump. So hopefully that will cycle enough just to pressurize the injectors and get it to pop off. Just want to hear it run for a second. But things are starting to hit you in the stomach. I mean, I've been saving for this car for the last 10 years to redo what was already there. And I mean, I had a Gen 3 6.1 Hemi complete build in that car, and it almost looks like everything that I've got in there won't work. And it's just more money on top of more money. Things that kind of don't even question, or something that you wouldn't even think of. So let's say you buy this new 8-speed, and this is an 8-speed. It's the bigger, better 8-speed automatic. You buy an 8-speed automatic transmission. Buy it new, buy it used, whatever. When they're going to ship it to you, they drain all fluids. You have to use this transmission fluid. This quart, I've seen it at $36 a quart, and I've seen it at $48 a quart. That transmission, I think, can take up to 10 quarts. I have no idea how much they drained out of it, but just to get it to pop off, I don't want it to run dry on the on the torque converter and things, so I'm going to bump some oil in it. To properly pressurize this, you have to put oil in it, run it, put it in gear, take it out, and you actually let it dribble out until it pressurizes the system while it's in gear and that kind of thing. Some good old YouTube videos I've seen watching that happen. But holy mother of, I don't know, when they dug this out of the ground and sucked it out of the dinosaurs, did the dinosaurs have to have gold teeth and special unicorns that they had to dig it out of the ground for, and then minerally shove it up somebody's woohoo and then squirt it out to... That's $500. Are you seeing what I'm saying here? $500 in just oil to make this work. You buy a used motor and some different things, you think you're trying to get ahead or save yourself. Like I said, I've been saving for 10 years. I want to go through some of this other stuff once it fires up, and some of the other expenses that I've learned that I don't have that I did not realize it was going to cost. But anyway, so this liquid gold oil, this unobtainium miracle oil, I am going to put my good old Flexi, let's put that right there. We're going to put our little Flexi drain thing there. We're going to put that there. I'm going to use 2 hands. I'm going to put some in there and try to, God, not spill any. Because how do you put it in a horizontal hole and not spill? So like I said, to pressurize and change this, you fill it up until it overflows, put the cap in it, run it, put it in gear, put it out of gear, get it to running temperature, pull it out. If it's not overflowing, add some more until it overflows. You probably waste a good quart in doing a service to this transmission. That's, yay! What's some other things I've learned? Oh, kind of a, I mean, I'm not faking my ignorance when I was on the previous video. I don't edit anything. I just play it for what it is. I wasn't sure what this cable is. This goes like in the trunk or somewhere. And after playing with it, when it's down, transmission is locked in gear. And when you pull this cable up and lift this up, it locks it in position there. That's what that little strap's for. And it actually locks the transmission out, puts it in neutral so you can tow it or push it or something that way, so if you don't have power. So that's with this drive-by-wire stuff, you have to have some sort of cable safety and things that way. Back to, I'm not much of a drive-by-wire person, so there's lots of things I'm learning. Things I didn't know even when I previously built it, so yay! But anyways, I'm going to dump some oil in this. I'm going to dump some oil in the engine. I am not using its 040 super synthetic just to start it. I got some 530 or something I'm just going to throw in it, fire it up, because it's going to get drained, and proper oil change and everything once it's in the car. This is more for fun. I kind of want to see if this will make noise here. Like I said, I bought this like this a few years ago, and I want to kind of go over the pros and cons of buying it like this and that kind of deal. So let me get some oil in it. We got some oil in the motor, tiny bit of fuel in the fuel pump. We've got a jumpy started on it, trying to make sure all our wires aren't really touching the exhaust anywhere. I put a block under the pedal so that the brake technically isn't pushed, so I want it to see if it senses that or what that is. I'm not putting the alternator on it. Shouldn't, or not the alternator, but I'm not putting the belt on it, so shouldn't need that. I took off the very important remove before starting, so let's see what we get. Let's turn it on. Oh, she lit up. Accessory button on there is on. A lot of times if you push the start key once, you get accessory. Let's see if we get accessory. Push fob to start. Well, if we're going to take that down, let's take that. That's now the brake pedal's now down. And push key there. it's sitting for a few years. Okay. Well, it makes noise. Kind of curious on the, see, that's all lit up if you push brake and push button. Well, the brake's in. Yeah. Let's give it one more little jaunty run. I'll see if the transmission shifts or what that does. And again. There's reverse. There's neutral. I'm not going to go from reverse to park because I don't want it to slam while it's moving. All right. Yeah, I realize you're running, but I want you to shut off because I can't stop it because you're in gear. Shut off. Please shut off. Park. Gotta stop it by hand. Now it's in park. Now you shut off. Now you'll shut off. Right? Well, the beeping, if you were hearing that, that's the jumpy start guy. That's all dust exhausting in here. I can turn that off and let this kind of air out. Then I kind of want to go over other things I've learned and expenses that this basically calls. I can't make this up. Look what blew out the tailpipe. It's all carbon-y and sooty. So I had this all wrapped up and in my shop. It was not in a storage unit per se, but apparently a mouse or a squirrel was packing nuts in the exhaust. So I got to take those out and shake them out and see how much is in that. But that's, there's that. So I bought this. Like I said, a few years ago, I've been saving for 10 years to do this project. And I had that 6.1 over here that we currently have that guy. And wiring harness and everything on this. This is a Gen 3 older motor. It had the truck transmission, so it's, you know, I want to upgrade, you know, if I'm going to do this, I want to do it better. I was never really happy with the suspension handling that I had with it before, and my brakes kind of sucked on the car before. It had disc brake rears, which I was getting decent disc on the rear, and I had factory disc brakes on the front. I don't know if I needed hydro boost or if I didn't have enough vacuum, or the brakes weren't great. They didn't corner and handle the best. I did have some heat issues, but like I said in the previous video, a lot of it was good old Mr. Radiator Cap, things that direction. But this entire wiring harness That's for that 6.1 that's inside the cab, and now it looks like a big spaghetti mess that was all, somewhat nicely hidden in behind the car. 100% will not work on this engine. The computer and everything that's in that car will not communicate with this engine. So using like this factory harness and things here, like when we just fired it up, well, if you notice when we fired it up, there's a million check engine lights on the dash. We had everything from front sensors and brake sensors and things that it was still freaking out about because they weren't there. It was giving a false that the power steering problem with the power steering, because obviously there is no power steering. So you literally need a whole new wiring harness and a control module to run this unit. So you can buy just a junkyard motor or a salvage yard motor and buy the harness and things that way and probably be money ahead, because literally all that wiring, which is probably 100 pounds of wiring and harnesses and stuff that they hide under this box just to make it work. But all that wiring is useless. Now, honestly, peace of mind for me, just hearing it run right now before I put it in makes me feel better than just putting it in kind of thing. So there's a little bit of that. And making this run right things that way, I was able to turn it on. I can see the actual mileage and it shows me the mileage and things that way. So those are all things that worth it to me, or versus the money that was in. Maybe yes, maybe no. If you think about the cost, and I'm not going to get into exact numbers and things that direction, but anyone can go online and you can buy this motor freshly rebuilt or from somebody that's low mileage to fairly new at 10, 12 grand, 9 grand, depending on motor and size. That transmission is $6,000, $7,000. So buying it as a combo and together in a low mileage vehicle, you are money ahead that way. As far as this fuel cell and fuel tank, no. It's just kind of fun that it was there. The gauges and things that way, not really, no. If you wanted, could I put all this stuff in, stuff all that wiring harness up under a dash, zip tie it together, and make what's here work in a car? Sure, kind of, it would work. It'd be fun in a little rat rod, or throw it around something. Probably have to take it somewhere that I don't know how and clear a bunch of codes and tell it that it doesn't have things that it does have. But there's that. So, like I said, I had 10 years of savings. We had things going on here, and the wiring harness that's in the car, it's no good. I did buy a whole new suspension system, all new brakes, and all new things that direction. So we should be able to make the front end handle better. It's going to grip better, stop, da-da-da-da-da. And I want just crazy fun, controllable power. I like the option of the 8-speed, things that way. I have a paddle shifter from Master Shift, one of their first systems. Like I said, it was years ago now. It was high-tech and cutting edge at the time. Not really. It won't communicate and work with this. You have to use this little shifter. This shifter has to work with this transmission. All over, those wires. You would think there would be something else, well, I guess those wires. So whatever those wires are telling it with that to run and that module, you have to have that shifter for that transmission to work. I'm not going to use this stick. I'm going to maybe try to find like a pistol grip stick or something that way. The pedal, sure, you can use that, but I think any drive-by-wire pedal works, which I think the drive-by-wire pedal in there might work. And then your communication and controls for this motor, that's just your motor harness. You also need a harness for Mr. Transmission, which is more monies. And we're talking large numbers for just the controller, the computer, and things to make this work in this car. And like I said, this car already had a 6.1 Hemi, things that direction in it. Now, this car has, I should lower it to make it easy, but I kind of have the fuel cap up on that top fender. So it's kind of like a Challenger fuel and I have a fuel cell in the trunk. It's kind of a pain to fuel. It's been a little bit of a problem, so I want to make that better. A little bit bigger radiator and a better radiator would be nice, but you're looking at, well, $1,000 for a radiator and do fans just to change the radiator. This has an external fuel pump in it. So the fuel pump inside the cab is quite loud. It's whoop. You can, well, I think if you see the other videos and you hear it, that whining sound, that's the fuel pump. Kind of sounds cool on one end, but the other side it doesn't. What are some other expenses that are just like unforeseen and different things? Well, the old motor, if you notice, I left the factory original front pan in it. Goes back to just everything was on a budget, saving money, things that direction. Now that I have a new front end suspension kit and everything going in, you have to go with a rear sump pan. So you're buying a new pan, you're putting those kind of things in, and a new sump and a new parts on the back of the motor so that it will work with the new suspension that's going in the car. The old K-frame, you cannot use a front sump, but I actually cut up the old K-frame and modified it and made it my way because I didn't care. And it worked, but it's not right. It probably isn't safe, and I might have weakened the front end, but we're now past that, so it's no big deal. This steering column is totally useless. I don't see why I would use it for any purpose at all. The headers that came on the old motor, not sure if they'll even work on this motor. Not sure if they'll work with the suspension that's in the car. Not sure if these exhaust manifolds will work with the suspension in the car. So I could be $1,500 on just headers and a couple pieces of exhaust pipe to get the exhaust out of the car. So what I'm basically getting into is like the aspect of saving money versus, you know, throwing a 383 carbureted motor in that car when I was doing it. Yeah, tens of thousands of dollars cheaper and would have been easier to do. I was, like I said, so devastated when that motor blew that going to a new motor doing the same thing, yes, could be done, but after I drove it for about a year with the way it was, there was just little things I wanted to make better. If I was going to do it, it needed to be better. And so it's going to be better. But the ignorant side of me kind of thought going from a 6.1 to a 392 or whatever you want to call this guy wouldn't be as expensive of things that I need. This power steering, or the AC compressor that's on here that fits the belts and everything there, won't work with aftermarket air conditioning. You got to change that AC compressor. You got to change some of the parts in the AC system for the new AC compressor. Like I was going through before, there's no power steering. So for the rack and pinion and front suspension that's going, or the power steering suspension that's going in that car, I need a power steering pump. Even if I was putting this in the K-member car with steering gear, you still need a power steering pump. So there's hundreds of dollars in pulleys and pumps and front end pieces. So it's just, it's not a cheap, quick, easy thing. Get a used motor. If you think you can buy what's here in this pallet, slap it in your car, and you're going to have something, you're not. I knew that going into it, but I didn't realize the massive expense. And I don't know if the world being the way it is, if things have just quadrupled in prices and different deals, like the transmission fluid that's ridiculously expensive. But yeah, that's where we're at. I'm still very excited that this motor runs. We're still going to be going further into some things and getting some stuff. I have piles of parts and things that I've already acquired for this car to be going into it. So that's what this is. There's the new heartbeat for it. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to tear into it. I think one of the next few times I'm going to start on some of the front end. We're going to probably get into some disassembly on it, pulling some things out. I could move the truck out, lower it down, show some more things inside, some stuff that won't be taken out, but I just wanted to do a quick little video of firing that motor up. So that is with it running. I do kind of really like those gauges, but with all the check engine lights and problems, I'm pretty sure we're going to be keeping the gauges that are in the car and making everything work. I don't know if I could probably keep the push button start that's in the car currently, but there again, maybe not. There might be something else that's got to be bought and got to be purchased. So, yep, there's where it's at. That's what we got going. Watch the next one and see what we get tore into.